Okay, Cooking Vinyl are about to release your debut album. I just wondered what prompted that decision. Was it a record label decision or something that the band was involved in?
Yeah, it was when Ember first came out on Light Force Records ever. I remember we were all excited about the release date. I went out to my local record store to go buy every copy I could. Remember, we bought ads in like guitar magazines about the record coming out, and the release day, as soon as we got to the record store, the record wasn't there. Called a couple of their shops. No one had it in stock. So for the very first time, it was kind of cursed when it came out. The label didn't have proper distribution, so it almost was completely unavailable in America entirely. Shortly after, I believe it was like a year or so later, Light Force signed a distribution deal with a company called Red Distributions, and then the distribution was correct. Then they did a re-release, added some bonus tracks. Shortly after that, the contract expired. The original thing that we signed was only to last for X amount of years. Once that was up, I received all the rights back because I was the only member of Trivium at the time for Ember to Inferno, so I received all the rights back. And I was kind of sitting on it, waiting for the right time, and waiting for the right opportunity, and waiting for the right way to release it. I knew I didn't want to release it the same traditional way. I mean, I absolutely love Rerecording Records. They've been an amazing teammate for us the whole time, but I wanted to do it differently. And when I heard about Cooking Vinyl, I heard about the possibility of me being the record label for Ember to Inferno. I said, I want to do this. Let's make this happen. Let's release this properly, and this time everyone's going to be able to get it right when it comes out, and it's going to be available on all the digital platforms and everything.
Yeah. What about then the decision to pair that with all the demo tracks?
With the title ab initio, that means in Latin from the beginning. And the reason why I wanted to pick a Latin term was Trivium is also Latin, meaning three-way intersection. So with this, I wanted to catch everybody up to speed with from the beginning of Trivium up until moments before Ascendancy. So I was able to I picked through all of our demos from when we were young, because we recorded countless demos as a local band.
Yeah.
And a couple stood out to me. The one that I hailed is the Red album, the Blue album, the Yellow album. Those were three, quote, demos. Although the Blue demo I don't really consider a demo, even though it's called a demo, because I think that sounds just as good, if not better, than Ember sometimes.
Yeah.
I wanted to find three bodies of work that I felt like really showed the steps of Trivium. And with the Red demo, it was one that was recorded in like a converted bedroom studio that actually sounded fantastic. So those three songs I felt were a good representation from where we started. Then the Blue record, then Ember, then the Yellow album. So I felt like each step was appropriate to showing where we were.
And there was never any intention or thought to maybe re-record or remix the original? I know a lot of bands have done that with earlier releases.
You know, I thought of that, and I thought to myself, as Matt outside of Trivium, and how I like releases. I have been let down by a lot of my favorite bands' remixes and remasters. I've seen some remixes and remasters where they change things, and that initial memory, that initial recalling of the event of the first time I heard that record was drastically changed. They took out things that I liked.
Yeah.
Took out whether imperfections or signature sounds, or I remember one of the remasters of one of my favorite bands, they lost the vocal tracks for one of my favorite songs and re-recorded them. Those kinds of things really bummed me out. And then the final straw for me was sticking to Star Wars. When I think of Star Wars, I think of Star Wars 4, 5, and 6. I don't ever want to see the ones with the added CGI where they brought characters in that weren't meant to be, and they kept doing different versions. I wanted to see the original preserved 1970s versions of the original, 70s and 80s versions. And that's the way I wanted to present Ember. I wanted to have that exact moment in time, the exact way it was for Ember and the other three records that come with it, that they're untouched, unaltered, and exactly the way that we felt like they should have been when they first came out.
Okay, what about this track, The Storm, then? That's apparently an unearthed rare demo.
Yeah, The Storm is off the Blue record.
Right.
And the Blue demo, like I said, it was considered a demo, but for us, that was like when we were a local band, we didn't have a record label, so we just made what we could. And I feel like the Blue album sounds just as good, if not better than Ember at some points. I think the 4 songs that are on Ember and the Blue record, I think the Blue record versions are actually better than the Ember to Inferno versions, just out of personal preference and taste. The Storm is a song that's on there, and I think The Storm is a great song to foreshadow what we become as a band with songs that you see prevalent on the Shogun record. Things that have a lot of different changes in feel and time and peace, and it's more progressive metal than where we would go. And that's what's been really cool with looking at the 4 releases that are included in Ab Initio. They all really appropriate realistically where we'd be going as a band. I don't feel like we're drastically a different band from any of those earlier songs. I feel like it's just the very, very early days of us as that band.
Was it? How did it feel going back and listening to those old tracks again?
And it was really fun. It was really amazing being able to get the actual box set in my hands and to read through the liner notes, read through the lyrics, all these demo records that I recorded. I mean, the Red demo was recorded when I was 15 years old.
Jeez.
To see that on an actual printed color red vinyl with its own artwork is something I never thought I'd be able to do. I never thought I'd be able to listen to Ember to Inferno on vinyl.
Yeah.
And read through the liner notes. What's fun about the liner notes, it has the stories from Paulo, Corey, our manager Justin, Monty Connor from Robin, and Jason Sukoff, and has the stories of each of them the first time they heard about or heard of Trivium. And for me, reading that while listening to the music was something really special for me. It was really cool to be able to see and put my mind in the mindset of their perspectives when they first heard the band. I think people are going to be very happy to be able to be brought up to speed from where we came from in the very beginnings of the band to the Ascendancy days.
Yeah.
I think that's what the proper title of From the Beginning is all about.
Would you be an old school vinyl collector yourself still?
Yeah, I have a pretty massive vinyl collection. I have a pretty massive vinyl collection these days, and I think that anyone that's a collector, whether you have a player or not, people are definitely going to want this record because the colored records are so amazing. I mean, each one has the corresponding red, blue, and yellow, and then Ember has that awesome marble color that I think people are going to love.
What about your own collecting? Do you collect specific bands or labels, or how do you go about your own building up your own collection?
I have a massive black book collection, like really, really big. They're mostly reprints, a couple rare ones, a couple ones from like obscure bands that don't really have distribution everywhere.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad. What's really, really cool, the best part of our collection is so my mother-in-law gave us her entire vinyl collection from when she was a kid.
Right.
All amazing original prints of 60s, 70s, 80s classic rock records, classic pop records. So I've got like original Kiss records, original Fleetwood Mac records. It's a pretty amazing collection that I have. So basically any classic record or classic rock record or classic metal record that you should have had or that someone should want to have nowadays, I have the very, very original print of like Kiss and Boston and Bob Seger. I'm very, very blessed to have that.
Okay.
And then for my father-in-law, he gave me his entire collection of classical music. I'm a big classical music fan, so I have original presses of classical records from classical and folk and country records from maybe the 40s, 50s, 60s, and on.
Right. I just wondered, with the re-release of these early albums, will the forthcoming UK tour, will you be digging out any of those old cuts that maybe you haven't played in a while?
Yeah, absolutely. On the last US run, we were playing material from all 7 records, actually. So I don't know really off like the red album, but there is stuff that's across the blue and Ember to Inferno, and of course the yellow that we play. So of those records, 3 out of 4 of them are covered. And we've been playing Pillars a lot. We've played Ember to Inferno, Requiem. I'm sure we'll add more. We played My Hatred live a couple times over the years. So people will definitely be able to expect material from all 7 records.
Okay. It's been quite a journey since the band first started out. The band still seemed to be on an upward curve. I just wondered if you had any explanation for the longevity and enduring appeal of Trivium.
Man, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, if I can bottle it up and pass that on to other bands, that'd be a pretty good product to sell.
Yeah.
Ever since I got in this band when I was 12 years old, my goal was to be in the kind of band that could make a mark on history and the kind of band that could stick around and we could be still playing in our 60s, 70s, and 80s. Luckily, we started so early that now, we're only in our early 30s. I'm not even 31 yet, and we've already been in the band long enough to have 7 records and multiple sold-out tours and some cool records. So we've got a great foundation set up, and it's the sky's the limit for our band. You know, especially when we talk about a place like the UK, it's really our first home. I feel like we've been sometimes I feel more like we're a British band than an American band because that's where we got our start. That's where we got our original fan base and our original everything. And we've had a quite interesting relationship with the UK. You know, Ascendancy blew up. The Crusade wasn't as widely received in the UK where it was widely received in Europe. And kind of jumping back and forth and having and seeing fans gravitating towards certain records. It's great now that we're able to bring everybody together with all 7 records. So if someone loves Trivium just for a couple records, when they see it live, we're definitely covering that.
Yeah.
And I think it's been quite an amazing process.
Because, I mean, to be fair, you haven't stick to the same style, the same music. All your albums have sort of experimented and changed. I mean, for example, the latest one, there's no growly vocals that people would associate with Trivium. All your albums have changed elements slightly each time.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of our signature sound, that you don't know what you're getting into with each record. I think there are plenty of bands that release the same record every single time. And for us, we've always wanted to be the kind of band that can explore as many avenues of what we could possibly be as possible. So with the Crusade we showed, I mean, that record has 99% singing. And then Sounds of the Snow has 100% singing.
Yeah.
And we show that we'll take chances. And I think the Crusade and Sounds of the Snow are vastly different records. I think the two of them, while still sounding like Trivium, are both so different from each other. Whereas also like Shogun is different from In Waves, it's different from Vengeance. And I think that that's something that I know can be jarring for people that love a specific thing. And I know that people are afraid of change.
Yeah.
But we will always be the kind of band that will unapologetically take risks and take chances and see what we can do as a band.
Do you think that changing, particularly in the vocals, was something that was part of your natural progression as a band, or is it something that was sort of forced on you following your vocal problems a couple of years ago?
For me, with Sounds of the Snow, because I had rehabbed it after that, the vocal issue this week, what we determined was I'd been screaming wrong since I was 12. Singing mostly wrong since I was 12, and we patched it up with proper singing, proper technique. I rehearse 5 to 6 days a week, every single day, on and off tour, no matter what, to make sure I keep my chops up. And with Sounds, we said to ourselves, if this record requires screaming, we will absolutely do it. But when we finished all the clean vocals, we said to ourselves, it doesn't need it, and let's do something different.
Yeah.
With the Crusade, I was still screaming at that time, and the way we decided it was, we said Ascendancy was such a success. Let's show everyone what else we could do as a band. Basically, anything that happened on the Crusade, anything that happened on Ascendancy, we did not want to do on the Crusade. So we said, let's be Trivium, but let's be the exact opposite of what we just did. And that was entirely up to us. We wanted to do something different. We rebelled against ourselves to see what else we can do as a band. And then it came time for Shogun. We did something different again, and in Waves, something different again. And I feel now we've totally, properly explored all the avenues of what we as a band and what we isn't, that we know what the best of the best is of us. We know what we sound best doing at Trivium. So now it's just keeping the best ingredients of our band and doing that how we feel like doing it.
Okay, as I indicated, Trivium, you've experimented in different styles, different sounds right throughout your career. I just wondered if you personally had an opportunity to work with a musician, maybe from another musical genre. Who would you choose?
One of my heroes of all time for music, I know it's still metal, but it's black metal, which is very different from Trivium. I've always wanted to work with Sean from Ember, and he will be producing my solo project called Ritsu. He will be producing that. We will be able to work together, which is going to be fun. Outside of that, for Trivium, one of the bands I've been a huge fan of for years is Rodrigo y Gabriela.
Yeah.
And I tweet about them often because I love to cook. One of my favorite things to cook in the world is traditional Mexican food.
Right.
I also like to listen to the same kind of music of the food that I'm making. So with me, I like to play Rodrigo y Gabriela while I'm cooking. So I tweeted about that, and then the band tweeted me back. We got in touch a little bit, and we talked about maybe someday being able to do something together. That'd be really cool. Hopefully someday in the future when we do another record, maybe we can get them on a song, or we could do something together, something different, something fun.
Yeah, you're not going to believe me, but my actual next question was about other artistic passions that you enjoy.
That's awesome, man.
I noticed from your. Do you still have the website where you do like the sounds and smell and look that?
Oh, yeah, my food blog. It's up. I haven't done anything on it. I kind of feel like, unfortunately, the food blog days are a little bit done.
Yeah.
And it seemed to have gravitated more to just Instagram. So I'm still keeping up through that. I'm still leaving the site up so people can go and visit it and have fun with it. My other passions outside of music, I have a couple, not a ton, but the biggest one outside of music would be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
Become a massive part of my life. I'm at my Jiu-Jitsu school 5 to 6 days a week, every single week when I'm home, when I'm on tour. Our head of security, he's a professional fighter, so we train 3 to 5 times a week. It's something that I feel has helped me learn more about myself. Thanks to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've become a better singer, guitar player, performer.
Yeah.
It's taught me what it is to relearn something from the ground up, and I've applied that to something I've been doing my whole life. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Ashtanga Yoga is something I've been practicing since in waves.
And you mentioned obviously the cooking as well.
Yeah, cooking is a huge part of my life. I love food. I love learning about the world and the world's cultures through their cuisine. And cooking is something I love to do. It's something that I try to do all the time at home with my wife. It's something that when I'm somewhere amazing for the first time and I don't get to have my family with me, I try to recreate that at home so I can bring the experience to them. And I've always felt there's no better way to learn about a culture and the people than through their food.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing to do in the world while touring. Find good food and then hopefully try to recreate it back at home.
Okay. If I could take you back, obviously you were in Trivium at a very young age. I just wondered if you can recall. You also mentioned earlier your parents' own record collections. I just wondered if you could recall your first introduction to music.
I mean, my dad always had music playing. I mean, he was a hobby guitar player when I was a kid. His favorite bands was Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and Boston and Van Halen. I remember he always had like Boston and Van Halen on the guitar.
Yeah.
The first metal record I ever heard was Black Album by Metallica, as people know. The first metal band I ever saw live was Machine Head at the House of Blues in Orlando. The first CD or cassette I ever bought personally as a kid, I had my mom taking the record store and get, was the President of the United States of America, the CD with Lump and Kitty.
I remember that, yeah.
That was like the first tape I ever bought. But we talked metal, Metallica, Machine Head. Those are like my first favorite metal bands.
What's your views on Metallica, the new material that has been out? First couple of songs off the new record?
New stuff's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. It's my favorite stuff they've released since, as far as original material goes, since Load and Reload. I love Load and Reload. I love the original pieces off S&M as well.
I think that's true.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's true about Metallica as well. I mean, there's albums that people don't like, but they're, again, always a band that were trying something different, whether it was the S&M, the covers albums, the orchestral stuff. They were always trying to do something different.
Exactly, and I think that's the responsibility of a great band, to take chances and do things that maybe push the boundaries a bit. I remember when we toured with Iron Maiden in 2006, they played Matter of Life and Death from start to finish, and that's a ballsy move. I remember people were bummed out that they weren't just playing a greatest hits set.
Yeah.
The band wanted to do something different after all these years. I think the new Maiden record takes chances and does something new and does something amazing, and I think that's my favorite bands have always pushed the envelope and have been unafraid to try new things. But with the new Metallica stuff, it's awesome. It reminds me of somewhere along the lines of like Kill 'Em All and Justice in the Black Album. That's what the 3 songs kind of remind me of. Like if you combine those 3 records a little bit.
How do you view, looking back at your own musical legacy, how do you view it? Is it something that you feel very proud of, or do you look back at those early albums and say, oh, we should have done this, we could have done that a bit differently?
I mean, you can always do that, but the fact that I wanted to release the earliest stuff I could possibly find about our band and leave it untouched, I think that shows that I've always been proud of what we've done.
Yeah.
And of course there are moments in time where I could look back and say I would do this differently, or maybe missteps in our career, or missteps that I've done, or bad decisions that I've made. With all that, I think it's all integral to who you are today.
Yeah.
You have to make mistakes in life to do well. You have to have failure to recognize what success is. And I'm so happy for every misstep I've ever done, for every bad thing that's ever happened in the band. It's a good thing. We are as strong as we are today thanks to all the things that we had to go through, good and bad.
Yep.
And I think as far as our career, we went from nothing, and then thanks to the UK blew up to something. On the next record in the UK went downwards while the rest of the world blew up. And then I feel like it's been a steady pace for Trivium. It's been a steady growth, and that's no problem when we're a band that started as young as we did.
Okay, just a final one. I'm sure you've done many interviews over the years, right? Going right back to when the band first started. Just a final question: who would you most like to interview?
Good question. I would love to personally interview Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain is my Metallica of food.
Right.
Into food and want to learn about food through being a fan of him, through being a fan of his books and his TV shows. I love the fact that he's so into punk and metal, and he's also a jiu-jitsu practitioner. And he loves food
yeah.
and likes to drink. I mean, it seems like it's everything I love in life he loves as well. So I imagine it'd be a good time hanging out.
Okay, Matt, that's great. Thank you very much.